Hey, wide open. So it is the day of the Birmingham Bike Show today.
It'd be London Bike Show.
That's right, we'll start again.
Yeah.
Hey, wide open. So it's the 21st of March today. It's actually January, but we're going forward in time. And we're looking at a bike that is currently in January top secret. This is Mike from Calibre Bikes.
Hey all.
Hey up, yeah, and he's brought us the new Calibre Sentry to show us, which is a £2,000, 29-inch, 150, 160 mil enduro bike, which I think is super interesting, and I hope you guys do as well. So, Mike, tell us a bit about Calibre first of all. What do we need to know?
Well, so Calibre, we've been around for 5 years now.
Yep.
And I suppose we've had really good success with the £1,000 Boss Nuts, kind of won everything going, and a few other successes and like some of the hardtails and stuff like that as well. Yeah. And I suppose what we're kind of known for is value for money and kind of good geometry inside of things as well. So and this bike's basically the next step for Calibre, really.
Yeah. So you guys have always made affordable bikes, haven't you? Less than £1,000.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more than that
in
some cases. What made you decide, right, it's time to take on the big dogs?
Well, it's more just, I suppose, Calibre's just kind of started at the bottom and moved its way up.
Yep.
And we've kind of got to the point where there's no more space in between the current bikes, so the only place is to go upwards. So and then I suppose the other side of things was we wanted an enduro bike that we could all ride. Most of the guys in the Calibre team ride a bit more sort of aggressive terrain in the peaks and do a bit of racing here and there. So it's kind of selfishly another bike for ourselves again, I think.
So you wanted a bike with Calibre written on it to
race?
Yeah,
basically I'm fed up with my mates giving me stick racing other people's bikes. So so project started 2 years ago.
Yep.
2 years to the 21st of March, almost to the day. And we're finally now at a point where we can come and show it to you guys, and hopefully everyone likes the bike and we can have another success.
Cool. First of all, I'm always interested in the people behind the bikes, for the bikes even. So what's your background in mountain biking and in the bike industry and designing bikes?
So I started riding when I was like 12,
Yeah.
sort of down in the West Country, back when sort of mountain bikes were fairly basic, I suppose. There's not all the bells and whistles that we currently have. Just loved the sport, kind of just did it for me basically. Did race cross country because that was all that was out really around. Then started racing downhill and cross country on the same bike, just putting the saddle down basically. And then bike industry wise, I worked for Alex Moulton in Bradford-on-Avon for a little while, then got a university degree in sort of computer design and side of things, which I met you at university randomly. From there I was really lucky and got a junior role for product management at Rally, and quickly became European product manager for Diamondback, which was pretty awesome, looking after all the BMX bikes, all of the mountain bikes and stuff as well. Worked with people like Mine Ashton, Sam Pilgrim, Blake Sampson, I'm trying to think of all the other guys.
Lex
Luthor, and some really good people to sort of work with, and learnt an awful lot in those years. And then went to Go Outdoors to sort of shore up their cycle side of things, and then started Calibre, like I say, 5 years ago, just over 5 years ago, and then kind of gone strength to strength, and now that is basically my sole focus is creating these bikes for Calibre.
Cool, man. I think that's probably something people don't realise is Calibre's owned by Go Outdoors rather than being its own little company.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a weird scenario because yes, we're owned by Go, and but we run very much as a single entity. We obviously have people that we have to kind of report to, like any side of things, but we are kind of given a lot of free rein, and like for instance this bike, it's quite a big thing to do for someone like Go, but there's a lot of trust there from the guys and that run it, that we know what we're doing. Obviously it helps having the success we've had in the recent years to kind of allow us to kind of go, we want to push the price points and push the brand, if you see what I mean. And I think that we've done a good job of it. So
it must be quite different working with a bike company where you've come from having a dealer network and online sales to go into single
yeah, it's
supplier almost.
It's different, and for me, it's a lot better. Like I can really focus on what the consumer wants. When I was in my past roles, you had basically two people that you had to please quite a lot of the times. And there's a really good analogy. So when I was the European specs, the European guys really liked a really blinged out rear derailleur, and then they were quite happy to have like sub-tier product on the other sort of thing. So from that side shot, it looked like the bike was X or Y brand or model number. And then in the UK, I much prefer having like the whole kind of group set is designed to work together, if you see what I mean. And then like with the dealers and stuff, where with Calibre I can really focus on just making the product right for the consumer's end use, and really kind of spend a lot of time and effort on that, as opposed to trying to please both dealer and consumer and stuff like that. So, and then obviously the consumer has the added benefit of that direct to them model, but still having, at this time it will be about 66 stores nationwide, and then obviously the international side of the business as well, so you can, or pretty much any country in the world can purchase a Calibre for the Go website.
Cool. Right, so let's talk about what everyone's probably most interested in, the Calibre Sentry. What made you pick that £2,000 price point? Like, you've always gone for £1,000 max bike for a certain type of rider. Why you gone for that?
2,000 I think was just a number I had in my head. I think of what we could probably achieve a race ready bike out of the box. Certain parts obviously have a certain value, and we wanted a bike that literally you could take out of the box, build it, and then race it at an enduro race. And in my mindset, £2,000 was the target to hit, really, side of things. So it was always there to have that price point.
So talk us through it. So this is the mid spec, the one that £2,000 gets you. That's a little dog appeared. Hello, mate.
That was a cat for a second. There's another little one.
Right, so the dogs have gone. So this is the £2,000 mid-spec version. Talk us about the geometry first of all.
Yeah, so geometry-wise, the UK's been like quite a hotbed of kind of progressive geometry. A lot of brands doing it, but kind of they seem to pay like a bit of a premium for it. There's a few bigger brands now have kind of latched onto that, and that's really good to see. So I really wanted to kind of bring that more progressive geometry to a price point that effectively quite a lot of brands, you get this geometry but pay nearly £2,000 for the frame, for instance. So I wanted the complete bike.
The rest.
I wanted the complete bike for that. So geometry wise, 29er, 150 rear, 160 front, 64 head angle. You've got a 335 BB height, so nice and low. Really provides obviously a more like in the bike feel, and it gives the bike the ability just to like plow through things, and sort of not unsettle the rider. You've got on this medium a 465 reach and a 76 seat angle.
So it's actually pretty long and pretty slack compared to what else is out there. Most size larges that we see are 460, 470. So you've bumped it down a size and
and then we offer it in 4 sizes. So like I say, this is the medium. We've got a small, a large, and an extra large as well. So I'm really hopeful that we can bring that progressive geometry to all sort of heights of rider. So,
what's the reach on the XL?
It's 505. So
and then
76 seat angle again. Seat tube height on the top of my head, I don't know.
But
good
for big fellas.
The increases over a small amount. So all of the bikes put together, they have a very similar look in terms of the standover height and everything as well. So.
Cool. And so you've got. Tell us about the bits on the bike.
So we again wanted that kind of race out of the box, and so we really didn't want to compromise. You've got Eagle group set from NX, so you've got the ability to climb up, in between stages, or just on a big day out on the bike with your mates. We're using RockShox front and rear, so we've got the Yari on the front with a short offset, which makes a massive difference in this progressive geometry. It gives a more stable feel at speed through the rough stuff, and then on the climbs you get less of the flip-flop. So you've got less rider input. You can just concentrate on sitting on this steep seat angle and just keep your legs turning. It's quite an easy bike just to keep climbing up.
Cool.
Core finishing kit, and then one point that we chatted about was the tyres.
Yeah.
So these are the WTB tyres. You've got a Trail Boss 2.4 on the back and a Vigilante 2.6, and they're the new Generation 2 tyre, so they kind of sort of redid the tread patterns a little bit.
Yeah.
But more important is that they're the tough high grip casing.
Yeah.
So sort of we're in January, so the winter months, they really do hook up in the wet rock and the roots. But then obviously the tough casing enables you that race out of the box. You're not having to go and put some more expensive tyres on because they're too flimsy or something similar.
Yeah, and we get so many bikes that are 3 times the price of this that they turn up with tyres that are probably spec for a range of abilities.
Yeah.
But we always get them and just like, just gonna have to put a double down on it or a
Yeah.
heavier duty casing.
And I can't speak, but I can speculate. Maybe that, for instance, these tyres do weigh quite a considerable amount more than the light tyre. So I suppose if you're kind of looking for that showroom weight, it's an opportunity to kind of get that down. But then, this is £2,000, which is a lot of money, to then go and have to shell out maybe £100, £120 for some tyres that are worthy of the riding you want to do. Just seems like a ludicrous thing to ask the consumer to do. So I'd rather just have the right tyre on. Obviously, condition wise you're never going to get it right, but I find these are a really good mix for most conditions. So
okay, cool. So we'll go into a little bit of depth here. So you talked about fork offset before, and that's something that's on a lot of people's minds at the moment.
Yeah.
Just give us the quick layman's explanation to fork offset and why it matters.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get myself in all sorts of knots, but basically you're getting an increased trail. It's kind of, in all honesty, it can kind of give, if you take the mathematical side of it, it kind of can give a different feel to actually how it is, because the mathematical side of it obviously is like a two-dimensional feel, where obviously riding a bike is a four-dimensional aspect. The rider's weight is constantly moving. But like I say, I did a test day with the RockShox in Avan, and we test rode both same identical fork in the 2 different offsets, and I really did feel the difference on the descending in terms of that, having the front wheel less knocked off of if it's line, and then on the climbs, like I say, there's less rider input getting the bike to kind of get where you want it to go. You just concentrate on almost riding on your fingertips basically, and just keep those legs spinning. So
cool. Okay, so we talked a little bit before when we were having a cup of tea about the suspension platform of the bike and how you designed the shock and tuned the shock.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that a little bit.
So basically, on one of the prototypes, I just tried to get a bit too clever, and we had a really, really, really low leverage ratio, and then basically working with RockShox, we basically just got too low, and the oil wasn't moving through the shock fast enough.
Yeah.
So for lighter riders, we have some of our test riders, it gave like a really overdamped feel. So we worked with RockShox, and we managed to overcome that, and we made some changes to the pivot locations, and also shortened the stroke of the shock from 65 to 62.5. And that just increased the leverage ratio and increased the oil flow. And then we worked with RockShox to create a tune for that rear shock, and go from there.
Cool. And then the actual suspension design and the platform, how would you explain that to people?
Well, it's a single pivot basically with a rocker actuation, and then you've got this clevis crank as well that just creates a nice tidy sort of feel. Everything's nice and compact, fairly low and central to the bike as well. Create that kind of all those heavier points, and low and central to the bike give a lower centre of gravity.
Last thing before we go and ride, which I'm looking forward to, let's just have a quick chat about the development of the bike, because you've brought some prototypes along.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see a bike that you've actually designed rather than just picked it out of a catalogue and stuck some stickers on.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of, I suppose, because of our price points and our relatively newness to the market.
Yeah.
I suppose there's a misconception that we just kind of like someone once called it CAD, catalogue aided design, which I thought was brilliant.
Is that something you've done?
I've done in the past for certain, yeah.
Is it something you've done on this bike?
No, not at all, no.
Cool.
So this bike, there's 19 different parts on this bike that are all bespoke to us, and cost us an awful lot of money in terms of forging, and obviously the development for that. So I suppose one of the first prototype, which was this frame here, which is a bit of a monster.
I can hold that for you if you want. Yeah.
So this is quite a funny story. Basically, we test rode a load of bikes, and we found some numbers that we liked, and some geometry, and we started pulling out into 2D and 3D CAD, and basically we got writer's block. and this is where we got to. So
Yeah.
I can send you the 3D CADs, and you can see that it's this bike. It's unrideable. It's obviously agricultural, is a nice way of putting it. But what it enabled me to do, because like I say, really, I'd got to a point where I didn't know how to progress the project. I work a lot better when I've got something in my hands and I can sort of physically look around it and see it. So, you know, you've taken some photos, there's my drawings on it, and there's coffee spilt on it. And
cut out on
yeah,
thickness.
or thin, yeah, change the thickness. There's
Notes about
pencil
bottle
drawing,
mounts,
yeah.
Cool.
And like, you know, it really kind of kick-started the project and enabled us to move on to something that was able to be ridden.
And this was on display at the bike show last
Yeah,
year,
so like this was just to kind of give everyone a little taste and flavour that there was something coming. And we were always like 1 or 2 steps ahead of what we showed. You know, obviously. So yeah, we just kind of felt really excited now that we're at a point where we could talk about it.
Right.
Prototype 2, which is just the front triangle. This one's quite, again, another funny story. So this side having the reach numbers that we wanted, the seat angle, head angles, that kind of sort of things, but a few errors both on my part and on production meant that the effective top tube was far too short. So when you were running, it just felt like your knees were hitting the bar all the time. So we quickly got another frame being produced and changed a few things to fix the problems. But we still rode the bike because on the descents,
looks like it's been ridden.
You know, it still, you know, gave us something that we could kind of really test basically and kind of have some feedback on. So even though we knew there was some pretty big things wrong with it, we kind of still wanted to ride it. But you can start to see some things, you know, we got this curvature top tube and we changed kind of much more like a boss nut. You know, and the seat mast there, you know, and a few things kind of started to evolve from that, which is quite interesting because then we went back, and then prototype 3.
Here she is.
So this one got a real hammering by myself and by Ali Barron, one of our riders. So he took out to Morzine and raced student nationals on it and loads of other stuff. Warney, you can see a bolt here that you've ripped out in Morzine, and got a text message from him going, "Have you got any replacement bolts?" I'm like, "No, it's a one-off, so go find a hardware store."
Go to the hardware store.
But he got operational again, so fair play. But this kind of again gave us like something really kind of that we could ride and kind of, and this is the bike that we found that our leverage ratio was too low, and this is the bike that we did testing with Rock Shock on. So although fundamentally it doesn't look identical to the bike that's now in production, the geometry numbers and everything were there or thereabouts basically, and we sort of really then fine-tuned aesthetically, I suppose, and you can kind of see how agricultural the links are to what the production one is.
Yeah, and on the production one, the shock mounts to here.
We went back to to the original thing, and you know, it's quite nice to see that the original frame had some real input, if you see what I mean.
All right, cool. So we've talked through the bike, the development of it. Tell me, I suppose, final question is, how do you make a bike for £2,000 when everyone else makes bikes for £6,000 or £10,000 or £4,000 or whatever?
Yeah, you know,
how do you do it?
I don't, you know, I'm sure everyone could if they wanted to. For us, it's just, you know, like I say, I wanted to bring more people into the sport and keep them there, and I'm kind of hopeful that's what things like R2 Cubed and Boss Nut have done. And then, unlike enduro races or more sort of riding, you know, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 is a lot of money. £2,000 is a lot of money. But if we can bring more people in and keep them there, then I think that's a good thing. And if people want to go up in the higher realms, then that's totally fine as well. So
all right, cool. Well, good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
We're talking about the future for us now, but they should be out today, available to buy on
pretty soon.
Website.
So they'll be kind of available sort of shortly after this. But but you can come to the London Bike Show and physically see both the specs of the bikes and talk to me or any of the other guys, and we do it shortly afterwards. Cool.
And if you guys have got any questions about Calibre bikes, about the Sentry, about the Boss Nut, about anything like that, just whack them in the comments. We'll make sure Mike gets a look at them, get an answer out of you.
That's fine.
Otherwise, look out for our review. We're going to go and ride the shit out of it for the next month or so, and just see how we get on with it and let you guys know what we think.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Cheers. Awesome.